The Autódromo do Algarve sets the scene for round 4 of the 2024 FIM JuniorGP World Championship. Nestled in among the rolling hills, close to the port city of Portimão, in the very south of Portugal, the 4.6-kilometre piece of tarmac is famed for its undulating nature, sweeping corners, and a long front straight, which really allows riders to stretch the legs of their machines. Nine right-handers, 15 laps await us for the second JuniorGP race of the day. And without giving too much away of what happened in the opening race of the day here at the Autódromo do Algarve, it was an absolute thriller, which had us on the edge of our seats, and we will be hoping for a serving of more of the same. Having said that, we will see the highlights of race 1 right about now. It was Guido Pini who started on pole position, the number 96 getting good launch from the line, but not as good as Alvaro Carpe, and Pini actually dropped to third position behind Carpe and Casey O'Gorman. The number 83 of Carpe led out front as some moving and changing in the chasing pack saw a number of riders go down, including the likes of Eddie O'Shea and Rico Salmela. The Estrella Galicia riders of Yambias, O'Gorman and Max Quiles proved a constant threat as Adrian Cruces went up the inside of Quiles before we lost some more riders in the race. Dodo Baggio among them, but back out front Carpe was keeping his cool. Coming over the hill here, we see he was leading O'Gorman and then a trio of Estrella Galicia riders. That trio of riders did eventually lead the race. Quiles, the number 28, ahead of O'Gorman, and Yambiat, the likes of Cormac Buchanan and Guido Pini still were never far away. But it kept chopping and changing until the latter stages of the race, where we see Alvaro Carpe push Casey O'Gorman to the side to retake the lead. And then it was a straight shootout for the line between Guido Pini and Alvaro Carpe. Pini led coming through the final corner. And as the race lost a couple more riders, the likes of Baggio going down again, Arbiadi Tama. But back out front it was Pini against Alvaro Carpe. Casey O'Gorman had dropped off the front two. Guido Pini, as I said, led through the final corner. Alvaro Carpe adopted a wide left line, and just like he did in Barcelona, took victory by a hair's breadth to go make us consecutive victories in the JuniorGP class for the first time. 2 wins for Alvaro Carpe and a stunning performance in race 1 here. It's time for race 2. 32 degrees in the air, 41 degrees track temperature, 7 miles per hour winds. It is an absolute scorcher in the southern tip of Portugal in the Algarve. And we've had some scorching track action so far. This being the 4th race of the day. We've already had JuniorGP race 1, Moto2 race 1, and we've just left an absolutely brilliant European Talent Cup race. If you get the opportunity, make sure you catch up and watch those races from earlier, because not that I'm biased, but all 3 were absolute thrillers and had us on the edge of our seats here in the commentary booth in the south of Portugal. So let's hope for much more of the same as the JuniorGP class roll up to the grid spots, to their grid spots for race 2, which will get underway in around about 10 minutes time, set to see lights out at 2 p.m. 15 laps await us in the JuniorGP as we take a look at the pole sitter Guido Pini. Guido Pini debuting in JuniorGP, not MotoGP, pardon me. He's debuting in the Algarve in the JuniorGP category. He missed the opening 3 rounds due to a broken elbow he picked up during Red Bull Rookies Cup testing in Jerez, and he's only rocked up to his first weekend in the JuniorGP category and taken pole position. He went from pole to P2 then in the first race of the day, and he will launch from pole position and hope he goes a little bit better this time around. Joining me in the commentary booth is Liam Hodgins. Liam, an absolute pleasure to have you alongside me once again.
It's an absolute pleasure to be here for the second Junior GP race of the day. I must admit, I was just outside there and it was an absolute scorcher there. You cannot believe how warm it is. I was strolling through the paddock trying to get back here.
You sound out of breath. Mark Fermi isn't that far away.
For me, it's only a million miles away, but yeah. It's a scorcher for there, and we saw at the end of the European Talent Cup race a few of the riders throwing water down their back. So it's, yeah, you can imagine at the height of the heat today, at 2 p.m. local time, we will be having lights
it's
out.
an absolute scorcher out there. We've been feeling it all weekend. We can only imagine what the riders are going through. Having said that, I did chat to a few of them yesterday, the likes of ETC rider Emmanuel Brinton, Eddie O'Shea from MLAV Racing, just saying, how do you handle the heat out there? And they say once the leathers are on and on that bike, they don't feel it.
Well, one of the riders that won't be taking part in this sweltering heat will be Eddie O'Shea. I just bumped into him in the paddock on the way down, and he's suffered a fracture to his tibia. So, yeah, big shame there for Eddie O'Shea. But they've got a couple of weeks off before, I say a couple of months off before Jerez in a couple of months' time. So hopefully Eddie O'Shea will be back to full fitness, but just had a bit of a coming together in race number 1 with Jesus Rios, and that was the unfortunate result for Eddie. But hopefully we'll see him back in action in a couple of weeks' time. We've still got Evan Belford out there in the MLAV racing machine, so he picked up his second top 10 in as many races. So hopefully there'll be great to come from Evan in today's race.
Yeah, super race 1 from Evan Belford, and we of course wish Eddie O'Shea a very speedy recovery. It's a real pity for him. He's been coming into some good form in recent rounds, just hasn't had that luck, and it's just another dash of luck, or misfortune rather, here in the south of Portugal that sees him out of race 2. Alvaro Carpe then, he's had no problems with luck in recent races. He's just gone back to back. Race 1 here, winner here, and Barcelona race winner. Alvaro Carpe, I think his winning margin over those 2 races is less than about 200ths of a second as well. He's really left it late. So Carpe really coming into his own this year in the Junior GP class. As is Facundo Yambias, he dropped off a little bit in race 1, but had a very good race. Amongst the front runners for the majority of that, you can see he finished actually in P8 this morning, but he led at one point and was in that podium battle, the Uruguayan rider, and he'll be hoping, just going a little bit better and maintaining that pace throughout.
Yeah, that elusive top 5 in Junior GP still eludes the Uruguayan. He came so close. He actually finished in 5th position in race 1 at Catalonia, but was given a 1 drop position for exceeding track limits, which was a great shame because he's been on great form so far this season, as has his teammate, the rookie in the class in Junior GP, Max Quiles, still chasing that first podium and the double European Talent Cup champion. You have a feeling that first win is just around the corner, and this track around here in Portimão has seen a few rookies in the past, Joel Esteban being one of them last year, taking his first ever Junior GP victory.
Yeah, it's almost bizarre to say that Max Quiles still hasn't got a podium. Of course, he is only a rookie and we're only 4 rounds into this, but he's been constantly a name on our lips, coming on our lips all weekend, and back-to-back P4s. You feel it's just a matter of when rather than if for Max Quiles.
Exactly, and a matter of when, not if, for Cormac Buchanan as well. The Kiwi rider, look how consistent he's been, always finishing inside the top 5, apart from the DNF in Misano. You get a feeling he's really starting to mount a serious championship challenge as the young Kiwi, and that first victory might not be too far away. A rider that did escape a couple of incidents in race number 1 earlier on, a couple of big moments in that race before he eventually settled down to pick up that P5.
Yeah, Jakob Rosenthaler then, the number 78, didn't see the checkered flag earlier today, was caught up, oh indeed he did actually, he recovered for P17. He crashed out earlier in the race though. Well,
he was supposed to serve a long lap penalty for his misdemeanor in Catalonia. We haven't had word through if he has to serve it in this race, but the sanction does say he will have to serve it in the next race he competes in. So I don't know if that's null and void in the penalty. We'll have to wait and see for that one, but we're a little bit hazy on that. So it'll be interesting to see if Jakob Rosenthal does have to serve the long lap penalty in this race.
Rico Salmela then, a rider. We said Eddie O'Shea was deserted by luck, as is Rico Salmela. You can see he's got one race win there. That's the only finish inside the points between crashes, getting caught up in other people's crashes, misfortune. Just the Flying Finn has had absolutely zero luck in 2024. We mentioned it earlier as well that he had a crash here yesterday in Portimão. There was a bit of a pile-up after oil was spilled on track, bringing down maybe 10, 11 riders during practice. Rico Salmela had spotted that and started cruising, taking a time. And the eyewitness account says that he was just cruising, taking it easy at about 10 miles an hour, and next thing you just see him in the flying into the gravel. So hopefully Salmela has a little bit more luck coming his way. Now, we've just seen a couple big name riders a little bit further back on the grid. Marcus Uriarte, P9 is one of them. Jesus Rios, P10 is the other. Uriarte was your championship, still is your championship leader, but he picked up a DNF in the opening race, as did Jesus Rios. So, two of the main protagonists in the championship chase will be hoping for better fortunes this afternoon.
Yeah, hopefully we can see some of the big riders actually being part of this running here today, because there was a big incident at turn number 3 which did take down Eddie O'Shea, Jesus Rios, Rico Salmela and Jacob Rosenthaler during race number 1. Fingers crossed we can get through the opening few laps and of course the entire race without any incident. And your pole sitter, Guido Pini, can he take his first victory of the season here in race number 2? So we'll look ahead to race number 2 for Junior GP at Portimão. As Guido Pini leads away from Casey O'Gorman and Alvaro Carpe, who made his second victory earlier on today. For Candy Ambias, he takes over 4th position on the grid with Eddie O'Shea out of action in race number 2 ahead of Keeles, and Cormac Buchanan Rosenthaler in 7th spot ahead of Salmela and Uriarte, with Rios, Cruces and Moodley further back. Morossi, Danish and Dodo Boggio rounding out row number 5. Watch out for Hakim Danish, he came through the pack earlier on race number 1 ahead of Ramstoffer, Powerledge and Pomara rounding out row 6 ahead of Uchimi. Evan Belford took the top 10 in race number 1 ahead of Aditama, Odaki, Sharil and Grenfell, with KJ Monignani picking up a point or 2 points in race number 1 earlier on today ahead of Cesare Tiezzi, Kevin Forkosh and Puetisan row number 10 out of Macquarie, Jeffrey Emmanuel and Uetu, with Loris Jeanrock at the back of the grid on bike number 2.
Away we go then for the warm-up lap for the second race of the Junior GP category. A brilliant opening race this morning leaves us gasping for more, shall we say, Liam. Any predictions coming into this one?
Goodness me, I tried to not make any predictions ahead of European Talent Cup earlier on today as well. For this one, I cannot make any predictions either, because it's...
Go on, stick your neck out, mate.
Okay, I'm going to stick my neck out there. I'll put my hand in my pocket, which is very rare for a Scotsman to do. And I'm going to put my money on Guido Pini, because it was his first race earlier on today in Junior GP. He just missed out on the victory. I think he would have learned from that with Alvaro Carpe snatching it on the line. And I think Guido Pini has the pace to make it happen in race number 2.
Yeah, that's a very fair assessment. Picking the pole sitter, P2 finisher in race 1. As we mentioned, it's his first appearance in the Junior GP category, and he's taken it by storm. After coming back from injury, he is making up for lost time. Yeah, big time. A real talent we have on our hands here.
Yeah, he's got a lot of support as well. We did see at Mugello a couple of weeks ago for the MotoGP, there were big banners at the Podium Secco section of the track that said Guido Pini. Had more support than lots of other riders. So you know Guido Pini is a big star for the future, and he's got a lot of support. And he is, of course, a European Talent Cup champion 2 years ago. We know he has got talent, but he hasn't won a race in this series since he took victory at Aragon in the European Talent Cup in 2022. So this could be the first time. It'll be a long time coming for the young Italian.
So around the final couple of corners we go on the warm-up lap, and here we have the championship standings. Marcus Uriarte didn't pick up any points in that opening race, crashing out late on, but he escaped with his championship lead still intact. Alessandro Morosi, Cruces tied on 76 points each, within 6 points of the young Spaniard CF Moto Aspar Junior Team rider, who will launch from the outside of the third row. So it is a front 4 rows packed with absolute quality. Pedigree all across the field, but the front 4 seem to just have the race winners, podium finishers, and the race leaders, pole sitters. So we're just moments away from the second race of the day here in the Junior GP category. Guido Pini starts on pole position ahead of Casey O'Gorman, who is on the podium in race 1. Alvaro Carpe, your race 1 winner, starts on the outside of the front row. Then it's Yambias, Quiles and Buchanan. Quiles is a demon off the line and has been the last couple rounds. Keep an eye on the number 28 from the middle of the second row. But the green flag waves in the background. We're seconds away from lights out here. The eyes on the lights. The reds are up. It's time to go racing here in the Algarve, and it's a good start from the number 96 of Guido Pini. He cuts off Alvaro Carpe and drives straight into the middle. Pini will have the whole shot. Indeed he will not. Carpe makes a move into turn 1, and then it is Casey O'Gorman, Yambias and Quiles following suit. We've got 4 riders in the blue, and it's 54 of Jesus Rios, 2-time race winner, or 3-time race winner in this category already, who has got a good start and slotted into 4th position. So Carpe is your early race leader on lap 1 ahead of Guido Pini, but Pini is now making a move up the inside of the race 1 winner Carpe and retakes control of the lead. Then it is the number 94 Facundo Yambias ahead of Jesus Rios, Max Quiles ahead of O'Gorman, with Marcos Uriarte following in behind.
And thankfully this time round there was no incident at turn 3. Everyone was safely, cleanly through on lap number 1, with Guido Pini currently leading the way. I must apologise to Guido. His last race win in the European Talent Cup, no matter what I said earlier on, was at Valencia at the end of 2023. So only the second, or only 2 races ago they actually competed as Jesus Rios
goes for the 2
for
for
the
1.
inside. Oh, great move there. He was caught up in the crash on lap 1 in race number 1 earlier on today, but thankfully now for the former championship leader, he's still in the mix as he looks for a move on Alvaro Carpe. But at the moment, this is allowing Guido Pini to maybe just stretch his legs in the early laps.
Yeah, we saw it bunch up in race 1, a lot of riders chopping and changing for victories. A little bit more settled so far here, and eventually in that race, Guido Pini, Alvaro Carpe and Casey O'Gorman broke away from a chasing group, but no such sign of that happening just yet. Pini does have a slight 4-bike length advantage as we complete lap 1 here, but expect that all to change as we come down the near kilometre-long stretch in the Algarve, and immediately Alvaro Carpe is looking up the inside, as is Jesus Rios, and Rios is now the race leader. First time we've seen Jesus Rios lead a race here in the Algarve this year. He crashed out of race 1 earlier this morning, so never really got going, the former championship leader.
Yeah, this top 6 have already got a 1.4 second advantage over Jakob Rosenthaler, who was one of the other riders caught up in that lap 1 incident in race 1. So great start from this top 6, really setting a scintillating pace so far, with 3 Australian lithium machines in the battles we saw in race number 1. But it's the top 2 from race 1 and 2nd and 3rd, but Jesus Rios, who's coming out to make amends from the incident in race 1 earlier on today, already hit the front. And we've got some yellow flags out at turn 4, 5 and 6. We'll keep an eye out on who might be dropping down the order there. So great shame that for, it looks like Cormac Buchanan and Evan Belford. So Belford, we're bigging him up ahead of the race today after finishing P10 in race number 1. So he's gone down at turn number 5. It looked like it might have been Cormac Buchanan that was caught up in that. We'll see a replay here. And it was indeed, Elvin Belford.
Collision between the two, isn't
Yeah,
it? Or
it
have they
was.
gone in separate crashes?
And once again today we're seeing a bike sitting on top of one of the MLAV racing riders. Thankfully Evan Belford was able to get back up again, but great shame that after 2 top 10 finishes in the last 2 races for the young Englishman.
Yeah, it's been a massive step forward in recent outings for Belford, so it's been good to see him getting into the top 10, but that is an unfortunate incident which will put a slight dent in his progress. But like we've said, there's 3 rounds still to go as it's all chopping and changing. Once again at the front, Alvaro Carpe leads over the line, but will he lead into turn 1, Liam? I don't think so. Max Quiles is taking the wider line here. In fact, he's about to make me eat my own words. Alvaro Carpe, that is a rare sight, I would say, in Junior GP, coming down the hill on the right-hander into turn 1 to see the person leading over the line leading through turns 1, 2 and into turn 3 Lagos. However, Max Quiles is on the march, isn't he? 148.5 from the Spaniard. We said it's almost bizarre that he hasn't been on a podium so far. He is out to change that. A hugely talented rider on that Estrella Galicia machine, and he needs a cohort of Estrella Galicia riders. Yambias slotting in behind in P3, Casey O'Gorman just behind them, with Jesus Rios completing the top 5.
Yeah, fingers crossed Quiles can keep it nice and clear. As we see Cormac Buchanan coming into the pits. Interesting to point out there, Chris, that Quiles' fastest lap is 1 second slower than they were setting in race 1 earlier on today. So these hotter conditions are really taking a toll on the bikes and also on the tyres. It's a scorcher out there today. So we've got a move coming from Quiles. They set the fastest lap of the race. Pushes out Alvaro Carpi into Portimão corner. Here comes Yambias as well. Yambias was showing great form in the start of race 1, but dropped back down the order to 8th late on in the race. All the riders now. Casey O'Gorman on the other Estrella Galicia machine. He's now finding form. As we see a rider, that's at the top of the hill going down to Craig Jones.
Is that Uriarte has gone down again?
It is Uriarte actually. Or was it Morossi?
It's Morossi.
Morossi's gone down. What's happened here? We see the replay. The rider and he's gone on the curb. So that's
over the hill. Oh, yeah, that's not a good place to go down.
No, not at all. That's the Misano curbs that they've been installing in around a lot of the tracks in the world. You really don't want to be running out there, as we just saw from Morossi, who's gone down and out. So his early season form is deserting him now, as we see another change for the lead potentially, Chris, with Carpi taking the lead.
Casey O'Gorman
almost tagging his teammate of Quiles.
Yeah, quite rightly, Casey O'Gorman pulling off a ballsy move, shall we say, going into turn 1, slip in behind Alvaro Carpe and push and drop Max Quiles into 3rd position. So Morossi has gone down just over the corners, go over the blind crest, and thankfully he's okay. Yeah. The bike looks a little bit shaken, as do his leathers.
As does he a little bit.
Yeah. Alessandro Morossi sits 2nd in the championship, but you would imagine that as he won't be picking up any points, he will slip a little further back. Now, in terms of the championship, Marcus Uriarte will not be able to punish it as things stand. He's running in P11, so he won't take the maximum. And Adrian Cruces was there too. He's running in P8, so running a little bit better. A chance for Cruces perhaps to seize the championship initiative. Or it could be Alvaro Carpe back battling at the front of the JuniorGP race. This is a new Alvaro Carpe. We've covered him on multiple occasions in recent years. Liam, we've seen him on the podium, but we've never seen him on the top step. That was until a couple of weeks ago in Barcelona, where he won it by a hair's breadth. He did the exact same here this morning in race 1, and he's back out at the front here in race 2 in the Algarve.
Yeah, multiple race winner in Red Bull Rookies Cup. As you say, Chris, was deserting him in JuniorGP. Multiple podiums in 2023. Came into this season as the championship favourite on many people's lips, but was struggling in the early part of the season, got caught up in a few incidences, but as he came into Catalonia, he found the form again, took his first race win, made a double earlier on this morning, but it looks like he's going to be getting swamped as they go down the straight with Rios coming out. Here comes Pini, he drops into 2nd, but Carpe still leading it for now, as O'Gorman was up, I think it was Quiles actually, swoops around the outside of Jesus Rios into 3rd, but Rios back again on the brakes into the corner where he went down in race number 1. All clean as you like for now. That just pushes Yambias on the number 94 Estrella Galicia machine into the clutches of his teammate Quiles, with O'Gorman just a little bit detached from his two teammates just in front, as Rios makes it again another move. But here comes, it was actually O'Gorman, so O'Gorman it was chasing down Yambias, so it was Quiles was a little bit detached. Sometimes, Chris, it's a little bit hard to tell those 3 apart.
Yeah, I've just noticed, Liam, as well, another mistake. I do often look at the flag on the wheels, but I keep getting my eye drawn to the rear wheel, and they're all Spanish flags. So it's on the front wheel. If you're looking for a little tip, is that Dodo Maggio?
It's Maggio again.
But if you're looking for a little tip to tell the Australia boys apart, look at the front wheel. You've got a Uruguayan flag, an Irish flag, and a Spanish flag for Max Quiles.
Unfortunately, my eyesight isn't quite as good as it used to be, so I'm losing out to a little bit of eyesight there to try and catch it immediately who it is. But
so it is a case of the usual suspects then, Liam, out front, isn't it? Alvaro Carpe, Casey O'Gorman, Jesus Rios, Max Quiles, Guido Pini, fast becoming a usual suspect, even though it's just his first weekend, and Facundo Yambias. Yambias, we mentioned earlier, hasn't actually got that top 5 yet, but he's doing a lot of good running here. He's running in 5th position, just ahead of teammate Max Quiles. Max Quiles still hasn't got that podium yet. Amazingly, but he's still always running at the front. There is still a long way to go here. Guido Pini is out front ahead of Jesus Rios. Rios has plenty of winning experience, as does Alvaro Carpe. Casey O'Gorman debuted on a Junior GP podium this morning, and he's hungry for more. But it's going to be Pini, Rios, O'Gorman in the podium positions, in the provisional podium positions as we come into turn 3 here at the Portimão circuit. Yambias has a little look up the inside of Quiles and pushes him back into 6th position. Yambias is in 5th.
Now, this 12-wheeler might become a 20-wheeler any moment now, because Salmela, Danish Rosenthal and Uriarte are closing in on the top 6. You'll see them flash into the background there. The white helmet of Salmela, who's had so much bad luck apart from that race win in Estoril. He's now hunting down your race leader. He was the 2nd fastest rider on the track, just behind Guido Pini, who is now your race leader, but he was in 3rd spot on the remainder of the previous lap there, so he took the lead with the fastest lap of the race. But Salmela is dragging that 2nd group up to the top 6 now, that's led by Guido Pini, Jesus Rios and Casey O'Gorman in top 3. Just behind them is Carpe, your race 1 winner earlier on today, with Yambias and Quiles. And we'll keep a close eye, because the gap across the line was 1.1. It looks like it might be less than that, but that's because Max Quiles is becoming a little bit detached from the top 5.
Yeah, we've seen Salmela do this before in Portugal in the Estoril round. Charged hard from very deep on the grid, and once he got out in front, there was no stopping the Licky Moly Husqvarna Intact Junior GP team rider. So let's keep an eye out of the number 27 on the Flying Finn. He's just, what's the time going to be as they come across the line here? We'll update you now in just a couple of seconds, but coming across the line, Guido Pini once again is at the front of a Junior GP race. This time, Jesus Rios is proving a thorn in the side of the Italian and pole sitter, but Casey O'Gorman pulling out to the right-hand side into the slipstream. Will he take the lead? He moves into 2nd position. Alvaro Carpe is once again in front, so it's all chopping and changing. Pini led over the line. He is now in 4th position.
Yeah, great battle here. It looks like whoever leads coming onto the straight just holds it ever so slightly from the riders behind, but we did think that this morning, or I did anyway, and I was made to completely eat my own words as Carpe blasted past Guido Pini for a victory. And another rider is making some moves. Jesus Rios, your former championship leader, back up the inside, as cool as you like, on the inside of Casey O'Gorman, the Irish rider who took his first podium earlier on today as well. He's looking for more silverware in race number 2. Guido Pini just behind. Yambias is right on the rear wheel of Pini, but it looks like Max Quiles, he was dropping off the back of this 5 a couple of laps ago. He is right back onto them in this race.
Yeah, just on that, Quiles seems to have opened up a bit of a gap again to Salmela. Over the line last time it was 1.7 seconds Salmela, so it dropped about 0.6 of a second, I think, on that last lap towards the leader. But yeah, Salmela hasn't made the same inroads he was already. So still a long way to go in this race, mind you. We're just coming up to not even the halfway point yet, just over a third of the way through, I would say. And
maths are certainly better than mine, Chris.
Trust me, they are not. It's all guesswork. But it is Alvaro Carpe doing very little guessing out there. He's taking the lead. Jesus Rios just tucked in behind him. So is it going to be all change? We saw Guido Pini lead over the line last time and drop into 4th position. Jesus Rios is making an immediate move on the inside of the race 1 winner, Alvaro Carpe. Max Quiles pulling the wide line. Casey O'Gorman once again going through the centre. And Guido Pini gets a little bit of revenge, going from 3rd to 1st as they went from T15 to T1. So Pini, the Italian, the pole sitter, is back out in front.
And Salmela's right there with him already.
Where did he come from?
Where did he come from? He was bike-legged, about 7 bike legs back a couple of corners ago, and he's now already on the back of them. A little pocket rocket. He's as small as you can, as your fingernail basically, and he's already onto the back of them, so he's got lots of straight line speed. But Rico Salmela, he's such a rapid rider, very finish as well. We spoke to him yesterday, and look at that, the fast lap. Wow, mega
rapid
lap time. That was 0.4 of a second faster than anybody else. But we spoke to Salmela yesterday, and about his crash, he was as cool as you like. It's like, yeah, whatever type thing. So Salmela, nothing deters the Flying Finn. It was literally flying through the air yesterday, but thankfully was all okay, and he's now on the back of this leading group.
Yeah, it takes a lot to phase the Finn. He remains relatively cool under pressure. And as I mentioned, we saw this in Estoril. We saw him charge from deeper on the grid and set a scorching on-track pace. It was a dry race, but only after it dried up from heavy rain early in the morning. So the Finn, can he repeat his Estoril heroics? He hasn't been on a podium aside from that win. He hasn't even been inside the points aside from that win. Is his look about to change? Well, we'll find out over the next, 7 laps. Guido Pini then is leading coming out of the final corner ahead of Max Quiles. Will he lead going into turn 1? Expected all to chop and change. Quiles pulls out to the left. Quiles wants to lead. Will Quiles lead? We're yet to find out, but keep an eye out for the likes of Yambias, Rios, who are all just waiting to strike. And for once, Guido Pini has managed to remain in the lead once he led over the line. And is Das Facundo Yambias, who's gone wide at the back of the pack? It has, and he's coughed up a position to Rico Salmela. Salmela now setting his sights on Casey O'Gorman just ahead of him, who in turn has Alvaro Carpe blocking his view to the podium.
So many of these riders look exactly the same on so many bikes. You'll see Salmela there. It looks like he's riding the same bike as Alvaro Carpe on the STV. Leclerc's racing for Carpe, but it's like with Molly Husqvarna intact JuniorGP team for Rico Salmela. So they're not teammates. I don't even know if they're good mates off track. We'll find out, see how they rough each other up in this race. But he's well and truly in the mix now as Rico Salmela on the famous number 27 machine. But it's the number 96, still brilliantly leading the way. Guido Pini, we must remind you, if you're just watching this for the first time, this is his first JuniorGP weekend, not just of the year, but of his career. He missed the opening 3 races due to injury. He came back with a bang, set pole position, and he's brilliantly leading the race. It's such an impressive rider, such an impressive performance.
Yeah, very much so. So Guido Pini, the star in the making, leads here ahead of Quiles and Rios. Things have settled down just a little bit, and as I say that, the STV like Lise rider Alvaro Carpe out of the seat a little bit and runs it wide. We'll see how costly that will be for the Spaniard as we take a look at the chasing pack, which involves South African rider Rush Mudley. They're just a little bit further back, battling among the final point scoring positions. That group is led by Fadila Arbi Aditama, a rider who has actually JuniorGP race winning experience. But back out front, Pini leads over Quiles and Rios. Then it is Carpe, then it is O'Gorman with Salmela and Yambia. So not a whole lot of change over the last couple of laps here. It's all just about, I think they're all settling down and ready to bubble over into a big battle for victory and the podium over the last, 5.5 laps.
Yeah, it's where you can really feel that the storm is brewing above us now. Thankfully not in terms of the sky, but in terms of the track. A couple of more riders in this leading battle. We had 2 earlier on. Guido Pini just running a little bit deep, but he seems so comfortable at the front, does Pini. He seems happy to set the pace. They're still in the low 148s, mid 48s now for Guido Pini. On the last few laps, he's just been reeling off a 48.4, 48.5, 48.3, a 48.4, and now a 48.5 again. So keeping pace brilliantly is Guido Pini, as we saw so well in race number 1 with him and Alvaro Carpe just able to eke out that advantage. They were churning out lap times that nobody else could match. But with 5.5 laps to go, we've got another 5 riders that are sticking with them. But Guido Pini, I must admit now, Chris, on this lap, it looks like he's stretching that group out, and the Australia Galicia machines of O'Gorman, Yambias and Salmela on the Liquid Moly Husqvarna are really struggling to stay with this top 4.
Yeah, it's a very settled top 6, as we were saying, but Pini just has that little bit of an advantage, you would have to say. Carpe just not able to make inroads into Jesus Rios, but Max Quiles now finally set for his first podium. However, there is still a lot of track left to cover before they see the checkered flag. They've got, 5 more visits down this front straight. Casey O'Gorman and Facundo Yambias go side by side, with Gorman recovering the position from his Uruguayan teammate. Rico Salmela he's managed to catch this group, but hasn't made any inroads really into the riders ahead of him as he tucks into 7th position. But a 148.1 from Guido Pini. Yeah, fastest rider on track, and by a distance. He's got a couple tenths in his back pocket. Alvaro Carpe, the closest rider to him, but he's in the high 148.2s. So it's beginning to bubble over nicely, Liam.
It really is indeed bubbling over very well. And just how just how incredible Guido Pini's pace has been as we see a change between Rios and Quiles for second and third. That is the second fastest lap of the race, only a couple of hundredths slower than Rico Salmella's fastest lap from about 5 or 6 laps ago. So it's just showing how brilliantly Guido Pini is able to keep his tyres in life, and is really stretching that group now, because O'Gorman, Yambias, you don't want to be doing too much of that, Guido. Some of the air just getting right underneath that rear wheel. As soon as it lifts off the ground, more air just gets underneath it and continues to lift up the wheel. As soon as we found out yesterday when we were out there on the scooters.
There was something akin to a motocross landing, you would have to say there from Pini. But he's kept it upright, sunny side up. So what are we going to see here? Rush Mudley is leading this group. Eamon O'Daki has crashed out, the Asia Talent Cup rider. For those of you who followed the Asia Talent Cup last year, Eamon O'Daki, one of the main protagonists in that series. He did lose out in the title to Veda Pratama, but the two of them had some brilliant battles across the season. O'Daki, good to see the next generation of Japanese talent moving in to the Junior GP series. Not so good to see him out of the race or on the tarmac and rejoining, but all part of the learning curve for O'Daki.
Well, on the last lap, I was just watching Yambias once again. Looks like he might have been just closing that gap back to the top 4, and he has. He was a couple of tenths faster than your race leader Guido Pini on that lap, so now he's got ahead of Casey O'Gorman once more. Yambias, the number 94 on this Reality machine, in 5th place, is slowly starting to bridge that gap back to leaders, but ran in a little bit deep into turn 3 there, so that won't help his cause to try and catch this leading 4, which is still being led so brilliantly by Guido Pini. It seems like Quiles, Carpi and Rios just seem quite happy to sit there behind the Italian and let him lead for now, as we see the number 17 of Jeffrey Emmanuel. That bike looks like it might have been down the road. We did see a double wave
scratches on those leathers from the AGR team rider who hails from India aboard the KTM. So here we'll see what happened to him. We'll see the end of what happened to him as he just pops into a shot.
Enter stage right.
Yeah. So back out front then, it's going to be Guido Pini leading here, as you can see, on the 72 Artbox machine ahead of Quiles. Alvaro Carpe is now demoted Jesus Rios into 4th position, but it looks like the front 4 have given themselves a little bit of space with just over 3 laps to go. About to complete the next lap is another faller. Dodo Bodger, the 47, has gone down again.
4th crash of the day.
4 crashes today. That's, well.
Turn 5 again has claimed him as a victim. Unbelievable.
Yes, a luckless day for the Italian. Hugely talented rider, and we've seen the very best of him in the European Talent Cup over previous seasons, but we're yet to see him really take Junior GP by the horns. But of course it is all about learning in your rookie season for many of these. Not for everyone though. Guido Pini, Max Quiles proving an exception to the rule as the two of them battle for victory, the Italian and Spaniard. Alvaro Carpe, the back-to-back race winner from the last 2 races in the Junior GP class, sits in 3rd position, runs a little bit wide there, with Jesus Rios, a multiple race winner already this season, riding in 4th position. It looks like, yeah, it's a 4-way battle for victory here as Carpe has a little look up the inside of Max Quiles. Yambias, O'Gorman and Salmela are just beginning to be cut off here as Pini looked to have run it a little bit wide, coming around turn 5 there, but keeps it pinned and holds his advantage out front.
Yeah, last lap around again, Fernando Yambias was just a tiny bit quicker than Guido Pini, but it looks like that so far in this lap they've dropped back a couple of tenths. So it looks like with 2.5 laps to go, it's the top 4 you see on screen, all popping a wheelie over the crest of the hill, down the hill into Craig Jones' corner. It's all line astern so far, Chris, apart from Rios, who launches an assault up the inside of Alvaro Carpe. Carpe holding it around the outside. So now we're starting to come to the closing stages of this race. Now they're starting to launch attacks on each other, because I was about to say, it feels like it's all been a bit calm so far in Junior GP, which is quite a rarity at this stage of the race. But
yeah, now, it's been very settled, to
it really has been,
say
so far.
The least. However, an intriguing tactical battle here with Pini still leading out front ahead of Quiles, but it looks like it's all just going to kick up a notch here as we come around turn 15. 2 laps remaining. Once Pini crosses the line, we've got yellow flags at turn 10 and turn 12. That won't affect the lead group, but we'll see who went down shortly.
I think it might be Salmela.
No, Salmela is there, just chasing in behind. So yeah, they have really cut adrift the chasing trio of Yambias, O'Gorman and Salmela. So it's between these 4 riders for victory as they go around turn 2. Who is this? It's Cesare Tiesi, who has crashed out of contention. He loses part of his bike there as well as he drives away. So what happened to the Italian?
Ooh, just slid out again, lost the front. Thankfully, okay, and the bike does I was going to say a 360, but it does a 360 and a little bit more as Cesare just sits there and thinks, what just happened? Now, we've got a lap and a half to go. Pini is now opening up the advantage ever so slightly. It's about 2 bike lengths over. Alvaro Carpi is now gone to the summit of the chasing group behind Guido Pini, with Quiles back in 3rd now, and Jesus Rios, he can't lay a glove on those other 2. He is now dropping back ever so slightly as Quiles has a bit of a look up the inside into Portimão corner. Can't quite put his front wheel up the inside just yet, but Guido Pini on the last lap, another 1:48.4. So he's just reeling off these low to mid 1:48, and it's really putting the other riders behind him into a pressure situation of trying to keep up with the Italian, who's chasing his first Junior GP victory, his first and what has been a miraculous weekend for the Italian, who takes round 4 by storm, his first Junior GP of the season. And as they start the final lap, it's Guido Pini that leads away from Quiles and Carpi.
Yeah, Quiles making his move on Carpe side by side as they come over the line for the penultimate time. Next time they come over these corners, they'll see the checkered flag. So for the final time through turn 1, it's Guido Pini holding a significant advantage over Alvaro Carpe. He won't want to repeat of what happened last time, leading into the final corner. Carpe pipping him to victory. Ooh, Carpe has got a problem though on his side, because Max Quiles is swarming all over his rear tyre. Quiles is still waiting for his maiden podium, and he might have to wait just a little bit longer, because Jesus Rios is now making his move on the Spaniard. So Pini leads with the advantage. He's got a few bike lengths between him and Carpe, and it's all to play for just behind the Italian.
This is great stuff for Jesus Rios to try and close that gap to Marcos Uriarte in the championship. And of course, Alvaro Carpi's got to do something about him as well. Marcos Uriarte married all the way back in 9th spot for the time being. But as we watch the leaders come over the crest of the hill, Alvaro Carpi was a 10th of a second faster than Guido Pini on the last lap, but he needs a little bit more than that to close in on the Italian. Here comes Quiles chasing his first podium of the season. Have a look up the inside. Remember, he crashed out here on the last lap 1 year ago while leading the European Talent Cup race, but so far so good for Mats Quiles to try and secure that first podium, but nobody can catch Guido Pini.
2 corners to go in the second Junior GP race, and it is Pini who has got it covered. Alvaro Carpi surely is too far behind to repeat his race 1 heroics. He's got to defend from Quiles, who is all over and looking up the inside at the final corner. It's Pini is going to win it, but who is going to take second? Who is going to take third? It is Jesus Rios in 4th position. He's making a move, and Carpe is pulled out to the left, but Quiles looks like he's made a move for 2nd place, and Carpe into 3rd. Guido Pini wins. A brilliant ride from the pole sitter, the debutant in the Junior GP class. Sensational stuff. Quiles finally gets himself onto the podium, and Alvaro Carpe completes a truly excellent day's work. A P1 in race 1 and a P3 in race 2 to ignite his championship chase ahead of Jesus Rios.
Pini perfection in Portimão. You could not have asked for a better weekend for the Italian. His first race back after injury, his first round in the Junior GP class, and he has just gone out and taken victory. What an absolute star Italy has on their hands with the number 96, Guido Pini. And what an inspired performance. He was just out front the entire race, reeling off fast lap, a 1:48.4, 1:48.5, and that was enough to claim him his first victory in Junior GP.
Superb stuff from the Italian then, as we take a look at Alvaro Carpe running around on his honour lap. So Junior GP at its finest once again. Guido Pini is your victor. Alvaro Carpe, though, perhaps the big winner from today, as his championship charge really takes flight. A winner in Barcelona, backed up by another win here this morning and a podium in the afternoon. Excellent day's work for the STV Laglise Racing rider. And finally, as we said, Max Quiles will stand on the podium, rather, the number 28 and rider of enormous potential, the European Talent Cup champion in his own right. He's consistently been running at the front of Junior GP packs this year. He is still a rookie. It's worth bearing in mind, but he's finally on the podium, and it's very well deserved. Guido Pini, what an absolute brilliant performance from the Italian youngster in the 72 Artbox machine. He's rocked up to the Algarve for his first appearance in the Junior GP class. He stuck it on pole. He narrowly missed out on the win by just a couple hundredths of a second in race 1, but still took P2. No mistake second time around. Pini takes victory. Super stuff. 45 points from his day out here on Sunday in the Algarve. Not quite in championship contention yet, but with 3 rounds remaining, if he can keep up this form, it might not take very long for him to enter championship contention. So the rider's just rolling around on the honours lap, getting the technical regulations check. Finally, Guido Pini has entered into pit lane. You can see the number 96 KTM machine park up in the number 1 spot in Parc Fermé. We'll hear from the Italian very shortly. So he gets the celebration started early, down just below the commentary booth. Not quite the stoppie maybe he was aiming for, but nonetheless, we can forgive him that after a brilliant performance. So it's Guido Pini who is your race winner here from the second event of the Algarve round of the FIM Junior GP World Championship. And he did it in some style. This was your breakaway group out front. Rico Salamella joined at the back of the pack, but couldn't quite make his way through as Guido Pini showed his class out front. See then the dash for the line. Pini had it covered. Carpe gave it a go on the wide line, but just couldn't quite catch Max Quiles. Only 300ths of a second between Quiles and Carpe. Carpe, for once, coming out on the wrong end of a photo finish. However, I'm sure he will still be more than pleased with his P3. Jesus Rios then came in 4th position ahead of Rico Salmella. Casey O'Gorman dropping to 6th. Casey had a podium earlier this morning and a top 6 finish, so it's a great day's work for the Estrella Galicia rider. Facundo Yambias, his wait for a top 5 finish goes on after coming home in 7th. However, what a day for the Estrella Galicia junior team. This morning, Casey O'Gorman finally got himself onto the podium, and in the afternoon, it was the turn of Max Quiles to break his podium duck. Alvaro Carpe is on a fine run of form. Back-to-back wins. Winner in Barcelona, winner this morning, and P3 finish in this afternoon's race. Superb stuff. We'll be hearing, though, very soon from Guido Pini. We can see Liam Hodgins is waiting down below patiently for the Italian pole sitter and race 2 winner to make his way over and have a chat with our resident Scotsman. And there he goes. Quick congratulations from Max Quiles and the STV Laglise team. So it's time to hear from our race winner this afternoon in the Algarve International Circuit. Guido Pini is down below with Liam Hodgins, and we'll hear from them momentarily.
Well, Guido Pini, it's your first weekend as a junior GP rider. You're back after injury. Could you have imagined a better weekend? Pole position, second in race 1, and now victory in race number 2.
Well, amazing race. Really hot. Before the first race was amazing. I did a cold shower because I was like, oh my God, but we did it another time. The last race, I think I did a really good job, but unfortunately we don't win. But now we come back. We are come back.
Very well done, Guido, and congratulations on today's win. And again, can you just repeat the question in Italian, please?
Innanzitutto grazie a tutti perché non è stato facile rientrare, però l'abbiamo fatto penso nella miglior maniera possibile e vi ringrazio tutti quelli che mi state guardando da casa. Il vostro sostegno è incredibile e vi voglio benissimo. Ciao.
Grazie, Guido.
Grazie.
So this is how the number 96, Guido Pini, became a Junior GP race winner. The Italian launched from pole position and did get a good start, though Alvaro Carpe managed to get the hold shot. Max Quiles slotted into third position. Pini did respond on Carpe, taking the lead once again. And eventually Carpe and Pini went blow for blow before Jesus Rios joined in on the fun to take the lead for the first time in the Algarve. Evan Belford was one of the riders who went down alongside Cormac Buchanan early in the race, while Alessandro Morossi had a scary crash coming over the crest, but thankfully the Italian was okay. A breakaway group formed of 6 riders led by Carpe. Casey O'Gorman moved into second position at the expense of Max Quiles, before Jesus Rios took over P2 from the Irish rider. Rico Salmella joined the lead group to make it 7 riders battling for victory as Carpe kept it cool and steady out front. Big moment there for Jeffrey Emmanuel, which saw him go wide. Back out front though, Pini seized the initiative ahead of Quiles, O'Gorman, Rios and Carpe, and he never really let go. Began to build up a considerable advantage in terms of the Junior GP class. While we lost another couple of riders later on in the race, Cesare Tiezzi among them. Guido Pini then, you can see, has built up a 7 or 8 bike length advantage to make sure he avoided any late scares coming across the line to take his first win. Max Quiles edged out Alvaro Carpe to second, with Jesus Rios in 4th position, but it's Guido Pini who goes from pole to P1 in race 2 at the Algarve.
We can call already in representing the winning team, 72 Artbox Racing Team, Massimo Capanna. Third position,
so time for the podium
Carpe.
ceremony. Team representative from the 72 Artbox Racing Team brought out on stage just ahead of Alvaro Carpe, who's making a fine habit of getting onto the rostrum in recent rounds.
Guido Pini.
Then it's Max Quiles for the first time in Junior GP category. Guido Pini is back on the rostrum, but he went one better this afternoon to take his first victory in the class.
Federation. Manuel Marinheiro also handles the trophy for third position, Alvaro Carpe.
So another trophy to add to the considerable collection Alvaro Carpe is building up in Junior GP. Mr. Jean-Marc Desnouet, FIM CCR Bureau member, hands out the second place trophy to Max Quiles, his first of the season. You can hear the party is getting started early. We're down below in Parc Ferme as Guido Pini receives his maiden victory trophy in Junior GP. Former ETC World Champion, now a Junior GP race winner and a future star of Italian racing.
for the first time today, the Italian national anthem reigns supreme here in Portimão, and it reigns for Guido Pini. Your first time race winner in the Junior GP class. 45 points he has accumulated here today. And the top three will be getting a picture taken. And it's a very warm day out there today, as Guido Pini said. It's a very tough race because of the heat on track, and after just being downstairs to talk to Guido, it's a very warm day indeed here in the Algarve. So as Guido Pini poses for a picture, his first of the season, his first race win of the season, and it's the first of many, you can imagine, also for Max Keeles in second, and Alvaro Carpi, another podium for him in third. So this is the results of today's race. Guido Pini by 0.2 of a second, or 0.3 of a second almost, over Max Keeles and Alvaro Carpi. Jesus Rios, your former championship leader, just misses out on the podium. Rico Samuel snatched fifth spot in the final lap from Casey O'Gorman, and Fernando Yambias, who still misses out on that elusive top 5 ahead of Jacob Rosenthaler and Adrian Cruces in the top 9, with Marcos Uriarte, the CF Moto Aspar junior team rider, in the top 10. So not a good day at the office for Uriarte. Hakim Danish, RB Adatam, Rushi Midley, Leo Ramsdorff, and KJ Mononyani round out your points paying positions ahead of Lennox Fomada and Daniel Sharil in 17th. Kotaro Uchiimi, the Japanese rider, in 18th ahead of Angus Grenfell. Jack repeat Puerta-san in 20th, with Milan Pawlic in 21st, just ahead of Kevin Farkosh, Eduardo Liguori and Eamon Otaki in 24th. We had a bit of a tumble during the race. Just outside the top 25, Jeffrey Emmanuel, who also had a small misdemeanor on track, finished just ahead of Loris Schonrach, and some riders you might have missed there, Evan Belford and Cormac Buchanan, unfortunately had a coming together at turn 5 early on in the race. So this is how the championship standings now look. How close do you like it? Alvaro Carpi now leads the championship on 90 points, 2 ahead of Jesus Rios and Marcos Uriarte, with Adrian Cruces 7 points further back. Alessandro Morosi, he had a difficult day. He crashed out of the race during the middle of it. He's 14 points further back. Rico Samuel, he picks up his second points paying position of the season. He's in 10th out of Fernando Yambias. Hakim Danish, Eddie O'Shea for the back. Jakob Rosenthaler, Rushi Midley in the top 15, Leo Ramsdorfer and Daniel Sharil. Inside the top 10, we just missed him there, but it was Guido Pini. He's on 45 points, so he's well and truly got himself into title contention. Only 45 points off the top of the standings. Dodo Boggio, he had a tough day today ahead of Marcus Ruder. Evan Belford, he picked up a top 10 in race 1, but crashed out in race 2. Guillaume Plonk, 21st, and further down we have Odaki, Abruzzo and KJ Moniani. Outside the top 25 is RB Adatama, former race winner in the class, ahead of Angus Grenfell, Lennox Pomada on 1 point, and Kotaro Uchiemi on 1 point as well. So it was a Guido Pini perfection in Portimão. Race number 2 for Junior GP is done and dusted, and it's written into the history books as a first-time race win for the Italian rider on board the number 96. 72 Motorsport Art Box machine, his first round of the season, but that winning feeling he'll want to continue as Junior GP get ready to race in Jerez in a couple of months' time. But don't go anywhere, we've still got 2 action-packed races coming up, with Moto2 Race 2 up next.